We're here with Laura Thomas, singer, singing teacher, speech and language therapist, which is a really interesting combination. Welcome, Laura.
Hello.
We want to know, why did you come to us? How did you find us? What made you want to do the accreditation program? What was going on for you?
What brought you to us?
Well, I'd had a little bit of a break from teaching singing full time, and I was looking to start doing it a little bit more again. So I think I came across you both, first of all, on Instagram.
Oh, that's interesting.
And started seeing in my newsfeed information about the accreditation and the kind of work that you were doing with people, with teachers, and especially in groups. So seeing that they were coming together and being able to chat about their teaching together, because I think that's one of the things that I really felt like I missed as a singing teacher when I was doing it full time before having a change in career. Feeling a little bit isolated, not having colleagues to talk things through, depending on, you could just be in a school, pretty much a school cupboard all day, not really see another adult even, and just not knowing whether what I was doing as a singing teacher was right, or because no one had ever seen me teach even. So just the thought of having this community and hearing about that from your work is what drew me to it in the first place.
That's very interesting. And actually, I remember chatting with you the April before we started. And you said that one of the things that attracted you as a speech and language therapist now working in clinic was the sense of collegiality, that people were sharing ideas, that you got this sense of ongoing mentoring. Because when you work in a clinical team, it's a clinical team. Medical work depends on the strength of the teamwork, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And actually, that's quite a common thread all the way through speech and language therapy, whatever area you work in. So even from my days as a student speech therapist, we had a peer group as students that we would get together and discuss papers and talk about our placements and study together. And then in my first job, I found that I had a peer supervision group, and I was like, what's that? And it was just a group of speech therapists at the same level that would get together and discuss our work. And that's something that I've had all the way through. And then I found you both, and I was like, oh, there's something like this for teaching singing.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because it's very similar what we do. And we've been actually quite surprised how similar the way that we work and also the way that we diagnose voices is similar to the speech therapy model and the way that they go into such detail and such depth about what people are doing.
And it might have been, I must say, from my point of view, all those decades of being a member of the British Voice Association and just being able to chat with clinicians and feeling that we were all wanting the same thing when we were working with voice, but we're coming from different angles. And that's something that we always brought to the table, maybe because we too are a team. I don't know, but do you think that because singing teachers tend to work in isolation, you work in a room with the student alone, and that often happens even if you're working in a school, that it's hard for you to find what your level is? And do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really difficult to know. And I think you start doubting yourself and you do lose perspective of what your strengths are. If you've not got anyone giving you feedback, if you've not got anyone to talk through a student with, for example, a tricky student or a tricky situation in that could be anything, something vocal or just something, a difficult conversation with a student, you've not got that reflected back to you or to talk through, you might feel completely at sea and really not know what to do or what skills you have to sort something out. And I think one of the things that I've learned on this course, and I know, Jeremy, you've got a really good way of putting this about falling off the log, but it's about seeing the things that, noticing your strengths, noticing the things that you do all of the time has been really useful, as well as obviously looking at what you could be doing better. But I think you lose sight of those when you're by yourself.
And it's not surprising, really. The reason I call it falling off a log is because often the strengths that you have are so innate that you don't even realize they're strengths. You go, oh, that old thing, is that important? And everybody around you is going, yes, you're really good at that. And you go, well, I don't understand why everyone's making a fuss. And I think that's what's so fascinating, is that towards the end of the accreditation program, as people are ready to go onto the registered teacher phase, I step in and do a lot of career coaching. And part of the career coaching thing is to find out what it is that you do best. Because if you're in a career where you're doing what you do best and what you do easiest and the things that are in fact falling off a log, not only are you really good at what you do, but you feel so comfortable doing it.
Yes, yeah. And in fact, I was just saying this to my husband the other day. I was like, I actually feel so much more confident and comfortable with what I do as a singing teacher. I'm not worried about being known for a specific thing or teaching really high level students or professionals. I just know what I'm good at and now feel like I can focus on that and just sit with it and do it and work with people, which is just so valuable. And the other thing that I find with working on the accreditation with you both as well is that at first there's a little bit of this, but it's not feeling like you're trying to please a teacher or please a coach when you're learning something. You start just doing it for yourself. So I find that by the end of the accreditation, working through our case studies, I'm just writing and reflecting for myself rather than to impress everybody, which I think is lovely, because when you do any other kind of academic course or studying anywhere, there's always that little thing in your head, or what would my tutor like to read? What would somebody like to hear? So you really get into your own kind of learning. It's lovely.
It's really important. I'm really pleased you said that.
Yeah, that's a fabulous thing to hear. And actually, I do see it in the case studies. And it's one of the reasons why we encourage you to do it differently.
To me, that's all actually still all part of gaining confidence as a teacher and also finding your place in the world. Is that we want you to become more aware of what you already do.
It's that reflective practice thing, isn't it?
It really is.
And of course, I don't want anyone who's watching it to think, oh, well, I'm not going to learn anything new, because you do learn new things. Even looking at things from a different angle and a different perspective is really important.
I want to go to the decision that you made to go and become a speech and language therapist. First of all, why was that?
Well, I think there were lots of factors in that decision. So like I say, I'd become a little bit maybe disillusioned with teaching singing. I was working as a peripatetic teacher, so teaching in 4 or 5 different schools for a music service, teaching privately at home, and feeling really lonely and not feeling that my career was developing. And I was also still working as a singer and trying to find the right balance around that and with a young family. So speech therapy looked like an opportunity to find a better balance to begin with, to kind of work in a situation where I had more colleagues and people to work with as a team. And initially, I'd looked at it from the perspective of voice, just from being a member of the BVA, I think, and meeting other speech therapists through that and thinking, oh, that sounds really good. And maybe this is a way to learn a lot more about voice and be better at what I do as a singing teacher as well. But the more I looked into speech and language therapy, the more that I realized actually there's not a lot about voice in speech therapy training at all. And if I wanted to do this, then I had to be really sure that I would be happy working in other areas. So I went on a little bit of a journey with that, kind of volunteering for the Stroke Association and doing some shadowing in hospitals in the community. And then, applied for the course with the knowledge then that actually this could be a complete career change. I might not do voice, and having to be kind of okay with that.
Because originally you trained as a singer, didn't you?
I did my undergraduate at the Royal College, and then I went and I retrained in musical theatre at the Royal Academy on their postgraduate course.
I'm really curious. I want to go back for a moment. Has your speech and language therapy training and qualifications affected your singing teaching in any way?
How does it impact on it?
Lots of ways, I think. And as you were saying earlier, but it being similar in the way that you work with the client profile, for example. So really thinking about people much more holistically and thinking about them kind of outside of the singing setting as well as when they're in your room, knowing who they are as a person and that kind of thing. So you learn a lot of that in speech therapy. You learn about really taking a good case history with somebody and getting to know all about their environment that they're in, all about their relatives and the people that have an impact on them, to really understand how whatever difficulty they have, how that's affecting their lives. So I think that's definitely developed through my speech therapy training. But there were lots of things that I took as a singing teacher into speech therapy, not at all related to singing or voice, in the way that as singing teachers, we're really good at building a rapport with people. We're really good at communicating. And those were real strengths that I think I took into speech therapy. So that kind of the other way around.
Nice.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you find you get a different sort of client coming to you because of your speech and language therapy speciality, as well as a singing teacher?
I think I do. I think there are definite patterns of maybe some people who are potentially less confident at reaching out to singing teachers, maybe find that maybe I'm a bit more approachable, possibly because of that other side to my career. And then I do get parents contacting me that have children who are neurodiverse. I get clients with voice problems because of my voice therapy history. So yeah, I think it has changed the type of people that I see.
It's very interesting. I'm a big believer in taking your entire history as a person, as a trainee, as a student, as a learner, and putting it into your career if you can. And I think it's really interesting that you did go through a stage where you went, this moving to be a speech and language therapist could be, this is what I do in the singing teaching goes.
Yeah.
And what I'm really pleased with, the idea that you've actually started to incorporate all of them together. Because I know I've coached you in a concert recently, so I know that you're still singing and still performing. Do you feel, how did it work for you, the idea of still performing with all the training and the speech therapy stuff and the accreditation program that you've done with us?
Yeah, I think at first, when I retrained in speech therapy, I felt like I'd said goodbye to performing, which was really difficult as well. I think I did it a little bit while I was a student speech therapist, but then when I started working, I didn't really sing very much at all. But when I came to the accreditation and I started thinking about the voice again, thinking about how it works and how we make different sounds and how we use text and watching other singers and other teachers teach other singers, I started singing and practicing so I could feel it in my body as well. And there were lots of light bulb moments and there were lots of, oh yeah, why didn't I always do it like that? That would have been much better. And then starting to sing repertoire. And so when the opportunity came up to perform in a concert, I thought, yeah, I should definitely do that. I feel like I could be in a much better place as a singer now to do that. There were times when I was working in speech therapy and I had to really step out of my comfort zone and kind of be observed as a speech therapist or stand up and give a presentation where I thought, oh, if only I could just stand up and sing a song, that'd be so much easier. But having done a concert recently, now I'm like, no, because I still get very nervous. So
I think I would agree you'd get nervous in both situations, but obviously the goals are different. You've reminded me, Laura, that when you did your trimester 1 summary of how you felt the training had gone for you so far, you talked about an unexpected byproduct, which was that you started to fall in love with your own voice again.
Fall
in love with singing again.
Yeah, I think both of those actually, because it's not really a smooth journey for any singer, is it? Learning about your voice and how it works and how you want it to work or what you think it should sound like. And then sometimes as a young singer in a music college, you're told by lots of different people what you should sound like, or that's not right. So it's very difficult to know, what is my voice and what should it be? What can I sing? And so I think during the accreditation, I've just started singing things that I really like to sing. And I don't have to think, oh, I wouldn't sing that because I'm a bit old or I'm a bit too young to sing. I just sing like anything. Just sing anything. And it's quite nice to take that away.
It's also what's so lovely, and we hear this a lot, is
Mm.
that people come on the course and they go, oh, is that what I was doing? Oh, is that what I should have been doing? Oh, is that how it works?
And then you know it better, and it becomes easier, and you get more joy.
And you start to understand sometimes the techniques that you were taught, or even the techniques that you are teaching, and you understand them on a deeper level, which means you teach them and use them much more efficiently. And it's, oh, now I'm understanding, and now things are working for me in the way that I wanted them to.
Yeah. And I think it can also bring some closure as well on some things that you've been taught in the past, because you can go for a long time and think, oh, why did they tell me to do that? Or why was I doing it like that? And then you can put that into perspective as well and think there were good intentions. And now I can understand what that meant or what I should be doing. And it can fall into place a little bit more because you give yourself the time to think about it and to reflect on it and to try it.
Yes. I want to take you right back to the very beginning of the accreditation program, because it was such a big thing for you, and it is such a large feature of what you want to do, which is to be in a group, to be around and in a community that works together. Having come from the singing teacher thing, where really you work by yourself, how was it in the first month doing the accreditation program? What were your feelings?
I think it's quite nerve-wracking at first because, like any group that you join, everyone's trying to find their place. You want to impress people. You want to show that this is what I do or this is what I do. And it can take a little while to settle. But then having the opportunity to speak to your buddies away from the group can just make you realize that everybody's in the same boat. Everybody feels the same quite quickly. And soon you just get into a kind of a way of feeling comfortable with sharing knowledge. And that's just been so invaluable because then you've had so many different types of singing teachers on this.
It's really diverse, this cohort.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's so interesting hearing about how people use all the similar things, but in a different context and from a different perspective. So daunting at first, but it very quickly became all right, this is how we work. This is normal.
Yeah. It's good for us because we watch that. People, particularly when we do the synchronous commenting during a training, obviously at the beginning, people are, am I going to say the right thing? What if I get this wrong? And then, of course, what we understand is that if you get it wrong, that's an opportunity for understanding and growth. And just watching the whole cohort grow in confidence to the point where they're able to teach each other in front of each other. And also to do, and remember the first pedagogy practicum where we basically let you all loose so that you watched each other's lessons. And instead of us guiding it, you guided it. And that was fantastic.
There's something that you've mentioned, which I think if people haven't come across this, which is the buddy system.
Yeah.
And I think the buddy system is so invaluable. So at the beginning of the first month, we pair you up either in groups of 2 or groups of 3. And you stick with that buddy or buddies for 3 months. And these are the people that you can talk to. They're on the course with you. They're at the same level with you on a course, even though they come from very different backgrounds or they're different ages or they're different levels, whatever. And so you get the buddies to talk to. I think we're quite good at buddying people up and actually matching people. So how was the buddy thing?
Yeah, it was great. I don't have anything bad or negative to say, but it's been wonderful, really. It's been wonderful getting to know such a lovely group of people. And I think you've matched us beautifully. Just hearing about, and also just from different parts of the country, and made me realize how London-centric I am. It's terrible. And just hearing about what's going on in other parts of the country and being able to do that on this, because you wouldn't be able to do that in person. It'd be very difficult to anyway. So that's been great. We've all got different schedules, and that's always a little bit tricky and I did worry about that at the start. How will this fit in to everybody's different schedules? But it's been absolutely fine. We've always found a way to do it. Because
you were working full time with the NHS
only up until a month ago. So it's But it's always worked with evenings, and it can seem a bit daunting at first, like how will I commit to this and fit it in? But it does. You find a way.
Yeah, I think that's important. You find a way because you want to do it. And also the way we designed the program was so that it could be possible for someone who is working full time to still do it. And I think I'm actually quite proud of how we've arranged that.
You mentioned something in passing, which is about having people in different parts of the country. And in fact, we have people in different countries as well.
Yeah, of course.
And I think because the whole course is online, how was the online thing for you? Did it work? Did it not work? Were there problems with it? What happened?
Yeah, I think it's been absolutely fine. We're used to it now, aren't we? Being working online. I think it's different to just watching a presentation and taking it in. That because we all do a lot of that, or a lot of training where you just sat in front of the screen for hours. It's not at all like that. It's so interactive. My only regret is that I can't type fast enough to put things into the chat sometimes. But you're always completely engaged, and I'm not sure what would be different doing it face to face, really, because you're still having the opportunities to share, whether that is just unmuting and saying something, or contributing by writing something, or being split into groups and being able to discuss, or having that contact with your buddies on Zoom. I think
honestly, I love teaching online, because you can have this interactive thing. People can be typing stuff into the chat box while we're talking, while we're sharing, while we're doing whatever, while we're teaching, and you can see what's coming up. You can see what people's thoughts are almost as they happen, and then you can incorporate them in straight away, or just go, no, we'll talk about that later. Or it really works for me. I think the only thing I miss is hugs.
I was just about to say hugs. That's the first thing that happens when you meet your cohort. Group hug. But actually, I'm really happy to hear you say that it feels interactive. You're always engaged. And I think it's one of the reasons why we're quite tutor heavy. For anyone who's watching this, there's myself and Jeremy, and also Anne, our wonderful associate trainer. And sometimes there's 3 of us in the room, and with your cohort, there's been 9. But you get a real energy exchange because of that. And also, of course, because we're here in the room together. But it means that each of us can pick up on stuff, pick up on the comments, and carry them into the training. And I think that's the big difference between self-guided stuff, however good it is. And our self-guided stuff is very good. But it's a totally different experience.
What's coming up for you, Laura? Where are you heading?
I've stopped working full time. I know it's a little bit scary, but also quite freeing. And I am just at the start of building my private practice as a speech therapist, a voice therapist, and as a singing teacher.
Nice.
And you're still with the same team in the NHS, aren't you?
Yes, for the moment I am. I'm going in and just helping out for 2 days a week, working 2 days a week for the next kind of month and a half. And then that will phase out. But I'm hoping that I'll still go in every kind of 8 weeks or so to the voice clinic and keep in touch there.
So that helps you with keeping up your SLT competencies and clinical observation and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Along with supervision.
Fantastic.
So how can people find you? Do you have social media?
I have social media. I am on Instagram. I need to get better at using that.
And do you have a website?
I have a website, yes.
What is your website?
laurajthomas.co.uk.
Excellent. And we will put links down to that as soon as this
all
is broadcast.
All of that will be in the show notes. Yes.
Laura, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And onward to month 12.
Absolutely, yes.
No, I can't believe it. It's gone.
Yes, see you next week. Bye.